This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Liao Yangbing shot out a ray of light, which spread in the air and gradually revealed a real sea map. The picture first showed a huge sea view, and then it slowly moved. Although the light screen looked very slow, everyone knew that the inside changed a little and it was already an extremely far distance. If there were no coordinates such as islands on the sea, no matter how long you flew, you would feel like you were walking in the same place. The sea map that Liao Yangbing showed was moving very fast, so it gave a feeling of moving forward. From time to time, black dots would flash across the island, and they were all islands that could not be seen clearly. Everyone was shocked. They didn't know how this light map was created. Finally, the scene began to slow down. For a moment, time seemed to have stopped moving. In fact, it was only because there was no reference that it seemed to be still. A tiny black dot began to appear in front of everyone, and then it began to enlarge slowly. It was as if they were looking down from the sky, gradually revealing the true appearance of the island. Yunxiao was surprised. As the black dot gradually expanded, it turned out to be a row of islands. They were not isolated islands, but were connected together, at least 1,000 nautical miles wide. The island was overflowing with spiritual energy, creating a white mist. At a glance, one could tell that it was a wonderful spiritual mountain and treasured land. I didn't expect Uncle Tianlu to have such good luck, Bai Ming Lifeng exclaimed, to be able to find such a wonderful place in the vast eastern sea. Liao Yangbing also said enviously, the resources in the four seas are too rich. Even if we squeeze out a little, it'll be hard for us humans to resist. The island that Brother Tianlu has arrived on is merely one of the hundreds of millions of islands in the four seas. However, from the looks of it, the spiritual energy here seems to be even denser than that of the 7 great sections. He gave Yunxiao a look and said, I'm afraid only Yanwu, which has a new look, can compare to it. Yunxiao snorted and said indifferently, Oh? Did you go to Yanwu, City Lord Liao? Liao Yangbing laughed and said, I'm already a pile of bones. I'll just live my life in Haitian town. I don't want to go anywhere. I've heard too much about the famous city of Yanwu from the presidents of the Chamber of Commerce. Yunxiao smiled faintly, but his heart was on alert. He had been away from Yanwu for a year, and he wondered how his friends were doing. Moreover, Yanwu's spiritual energy seemed to have caught the attention of many people. Although these forces did not dare to do anything openly with the Holy Iron Token, it was hard to guarantee that they would not play some dirty tricks in the dark. However, with his current strength, it was unrealistic for him to completely control Yanwu and not allow anyone to touch it. Only by breaking through to the martial emperor realm as soon as possible could Yanwu be regarded as an iron plate. Right now, it was just a fat piece of meat, and no one knew how long the binding power of the Holy Iron Token could last. Bai Ming Lifeng's eyes also flickered. No one knew what he was thinking, but everyone's eyes returned to the seascape. The island's scenery was gradually revealed. Under the rays of the sun, the island's spiritual chi rose in spirals, and there was a faint glow of sunglow. It was a sign of immortals. Yunxiao's heart skipped a beat. The faint light seemed to be refracted by the sun, but he felt that it was more like a kind of a ray. Liao Yangbing didn't say anything, so he kept silent and continued to watch. The island was filled with mountains and forests, and all kinds of strange trees, flowers, and plants that had never been seen on the continent bloomed in bright purple and red colors. There were also some small animals of strange shapes and sizes. However, the scenery quickly turned from the island to the surface of the sea. The sea water was clear for dozens of meters, and only after a few hundred meters did it slowly turn dark green. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, it finally dove deep into the sea. The seabed map was a little blurry, but it was still visible. Some buildings could be seen faintly in front of him. Everyone's eyes were wide open. The scene just now had sunk for the time it took to brew a cup of tea. By calculation, it had sunk at least 10,000 meters. If there was a building in such a place, it was definitely not simple. The scenery began to move forward slowly, and the things in front of them gradually became clear. It was actually a group of abandoned buildings from a long time ago. There were actually many buildings like this in the deep sea. Because there were too many sea tribes in the four seas, they died out quickly, and often left behind a large number of buildings. However, the ruins in front of him were not simple. There was a real dragon engraved on a broken stone door. The royal family of the Eastern Sea. Yunxiao was shocked. The royal clans of the four seas were all descendants of the true dragon, and only they were qualified to use the pattern of the true dragon as a totem. Once any other race used this pattern, it would be a disaster. The scene continued to move forward, and the trash became clearer and clearer. Suddenly, the whole scene stopped, as if an invisible force had spread out, making it difficult to move forward even an inch. Gradually, the sea map turned pitch black, and the entire water curtain broke apart, turning into fluorescent light and disappearing. Only then did everyone return to their senses. Each and every one of them revealed a thoughtful expression, as if they were reminiscing the process. This is one of the two messages that Brother Tianlu sent back, Liao Yongbing said. The other message is written in words, but it involves some secrets, so it can't be fully revealed to everyone. We've already seen the scenic sea map, Yunxiao said. City Lord Liao, you should have invited us by now, right? Of course. Liao Yongbing laughed. Brother Tianlu has explained the situation of these ruins in detail in another set of information. It's very likely to be the palace of the Eastern Sea. What? Donghai Palace? Everyone was shocked. As the name suggested, the palace was the territory of the royal family of Donghai. Its status was equivalent to the 7 superpowers of the human race. How could it be reduced to ruins? Yunxiao frowned as well. He found it unbelievable, but he did not completely deny it. The palace of Donghai is not in this sea area, but the true dragon totem that appeared just now could only be used by the royal family. Maybe it's a branch of the royal family. It's indeed possible, but Brother Tianlu seems to be very certain about it in his message, Liao Yangbing said with a smile. He sent out these 2 messages to ask for help because he encountered some trouble in the ruins and was trapped in a restriction. So, the purpose of City Lord Liao's summoning us here is to go out to seek to save someone? Yunxiao said indifferently. Aren't there experts from the Baiming family here? What use do we have? Everyone nodded. For the first time, they felt that Yunxiao's words were so pleasant to hear. The scene showed that the sea area was already deep in the East Sea. It was a problem whether an ordinary martial artist could reach that far safely. Moreover, without a coordinate pointer, it would be difficult to find it even if one's strength was extremely high. The most important thing was, who knew Baiming Tianlu? Why should he take the risk to save her? There's strength in numbers. Liao Yangbing's eyes were filled with a cold smile. Also, of course, I won't let you guys do it for free. Brother Tianlu mentioned in his message that this was the ruins of the palace of Donghai from a long time ago. Not only was the formation that had been running for countless years preserved, but there was also a huge amount of treasure buried inside. If everything went smoothly, then everything would be distributed according to merit. Everyone here is a merchant, and this is also a business deal. It's up to everyone to decide whether to do it or not. This matter is too mysterious. There's no trace of it at all. How do we do it? It is. What palace ruins? That's too much of a load of bullshit. It's possible that those reckless races created their own true dragon totems, which led to the extinction of their race. Yes, even if there is a palace site, how could the royal family of Donghai not know? That treasure or whatever is just bait. It must be that Baiming Tianlu is trapped inside and can't come out. Thus, he made up a story to let people take the risk for nothing. Everyone had a disdainful and cold look, clearly not interested in this matter at all. Liao Yangbing looked at the crowd coldly and found that Yunxiao was unexpectedly quiet. He sat there without saying a word, as if he was thinking about something. What do you think, young Master Yunxiao? Yunxiao did not say anything because he knew more about the East Ocean than most people. The current Donghai Palace had indeed migrated here. Even if the ruins were not what the former Donghai Palace had left behind, they were at least important figures in the royal family. This was because the true dragon totem could only be used by the orthodox royal families of the four seas, and it symbolized the supreme power and faith of the sea race. Even the branch of the royal family could only use the ancestral totem, which was the son of the true dragon. In a place like the sea race, where hierarchy was extremely strict, no race would be stupid enough to get a true dragon totem. That kind of pressure that was immersed in the bloodline was simply difficult to overcome. The broken gate in the scene map was indeed similar to the current Donghai Palace. I have too little information, Yunxiao said. I don't have any opinions. If City Lord Liao can show everyone the complete text of Baiming Tianlu, I believe that it will be extremely convincing. Yes, yes. Everyone also echoed. There are many secrets in that written message, Baiming Lifeng said leisurely. It's not convenient to disclose them for the time being. However, if anyone is willing to join us, we will naturally announce it to everyone. That's a joke, Yunxiao laughed. It's like buying something. You can only state the price after you've confirmed your purchase. Your Baiming family's business is really good. A cold light flashed in Baiming Lifeng's eyes as he snorted, Li Yunxiao, you don't have to be so sarcastic. If you're participating, I'll naturally welcome you. If you're not, then you can shut up. As for the reward, other than the reward that City Lord Liao mentioned earlier, the Baiming family will also give you another reward. All the martial supremes who join will be given a 9th tier profound level weapon. As for Wu Zun, he will get an 8th tier profound armament and 3 8th tier medicinal pills that can increase cultivation. What? A 9th tier profound armament? Everyone was shocked. A 9th tier profound armament was not something that could be found on the ground. How many martial supreme powerhouses could not get their hands on it in their entire lives? Liao Yangbing's face twitched, as if he was shocked by the reward. Yunxiao was even more certain that the ruins were the old site of Donghai Palace, and Baiming Lifeng must have some information, which was why he dared to make such a heavy promise. Young Master Wind, do you dare to take up the responsibility? Someone couldn't help but ask. Baiming Lifeng laughed contemptuously. They're just some 9th tier mystic artifacts. I'm fully in charge of the Baiming Dark Palace's affairs in the East Sea this time, so I can mobilize a lot of resources. Since I dare to say it, I'm naturally confident. Everyone fell into deep thought. No one had any thoughts about going out to sea before such conditions were proposed. However, the amazing reward and the possibility of finding the treasure were all hot-blooded just thinking about it. Moreover, Baiming Lifeng had also said that he would be fully responsible for this matter on behalf of Baiming Dark Palace, which proved that Baiming Dark Palace also attached great importance to this trip. However, they had sent a junior to train this person. As the leader of the 4 prodigies of the North region, he would definitely be the new palace master of Baiming Dark Palace in the future. Otherwise, no matter how outstanding the younger generation was, it was impossible for them to have the right to promise so many 9th tier profound armaments. This was already a large sum of money from a grand master. Ju Anren asked, with Baiming Dark Palace's strength, can't they send people? It shouldn't be a problem to gather dozens of martial supremes, right? Baiming Lifeng glanced at Liao Yangbing, and a dark look flashed across the latter's eyes. Baiming Lifeng smiled coldly and said, when City Lord Liao received Uncle Tianlu's message, he tried to break the seal on it himself. As a result, the text message was greatly damaged. Although the Baiming family repaired it, some of the content is still unclear. Thus, the mystical palace did not pay much attention to this matter. According to my speculation, the family most likely underestimated the message that Uncle Tianlu brought back, and they really did not have enough manpower. That's why I made the decision to recruit people. But don't worry, I still have a lot of say in the distribution of Baiming Dark Palace's resources, so don't worry that I won't be able to fulfill my promise. A trace of anger flashed in Liao Yangbing's eyes, but he still smiled and said, there was indeed a restriction in the text message Brother Tianlu sent back, but this Liao was worried about Brother Tianlu's safety, so I urgently wanted to break it first and think of a way to save him. Who would have thought that my good intentions would end up in such a bad situation? Alas, the people present were not fools. They all knew the reason, but they all pretended to be regretful and sighed. City Lord Liao is indeed righteous, but there aren't many experts in Haitian town, so I'm afraid it'll be difficult to gather a group of people, Ju Anren added. I heard that the Eastern region Fairyland is about to open. At that time, there will be a gathering of strong people in the world. If a 9th-tier profound artifact is used as a reward, it will definitely attract a large number of people. Bai Minglifeng's eyes flashed with worry as he said, I'm afraid that the opening of the ancient times will attract a mix of good and bad people. Also, it's not appropriate for too many people to know about the ruins of Donghai Palace before we explore it. Everyone can help spread the news, but it's best not to make it too public. I see. Young Master Leifeng's worries are very true, Ju Anren nodded and said. Do you have the coordinates of the sea area where Baiming Tianlu is located? Yunxiao suddenly asked. How do we go there? Baiming Lifeng glanced at him and snorted, what's wrong? Young Master Yunxiao was also tempted. With young Master Yunxiao's strength, you naturally can't treat him as a martial honor. The reward should be a 9th-tier profound armament, but I remember that young Master doesn't seem to lack 9th-tier profound armaments, right? Everyone in the world knew that Yunxiao had so many 9th-tier mystic artifacts that even the 7 sect masters might not have as many as him. Is it any of your business whether I lack 9th-tier mystic artifacts or not? Yunxiao said coldly. Now, it's you, Dark North Lifeng, who's looking for talents. Are you not allowed to ask questions? Baiming Lifeng's chest felt like it was being suffocated, but when he thought about how he was in charge of this matter alone, and how it was the clan's first test of his abilities, he knew that he had to produce amazing results to establish his position as the future palace master. It really wasn't good for him to make too many enemies, so he suppressed his anger and said, I know the general location of the sea, but I don't have the precise coordinates. Could it be that the information Sir Baiming Tianlu sent back didn't have the precise coordinates? In this vast ocean, I'm afraid we might not be able to find it even after decades or even centuries. Someone couldn't help but ask. The precise coordinates have also been accidentally damaged by City Lord Liao, Baiming Lifeng said. However, we know the general location. There's no way we'll make a mistake. I estimate that the trip will take 3 months at least, and a year at most. The man revealed a thoughtful expression and said, Young Master Lifeng, you're too optimistic, aren't you? Based on what we saw on the map just now, we don't know how many tens of thousands of miles of ocean roads there are. If we don't have a teleportation formation, I'm afraid we won't be able to get there even after several years. Everyone had the same opinion, and they all nodded. They had been on the coast of the East Sea for a long time, and their understanding of the East Sea was probably better than anyone else in the realm of heavenly martial arts. This was also the reason why Baiming Lifeng agreed with Liao Yangbing's point of view and came to negotiate with these people. If we were to fly normally, it would naturally take several years or even longer, Baiming Lifeng chuckled. However, for this operation, I will request a 9th-grade battleship from my family, the Wicked, Sinister, battleship. With the speed of the Wicked, Sinister, battleship, even if it were to cross the entire Eastern Sea, it would take a year. Everyone gasped in shock, and even Yunxiao's face changed slightly. It seemed that Baiming Dark Palace had indeed raised Baiming Lifeng as the future palace master. A 9th-grade battleship was a top-grade flying mystic weapon that only the 7 super forces and the 2 Holy Lands possessed. The cost of its construction was immeasurable and its power was also shocking. In a battle between large sects, it was almost a fatal existence. Other than the 7 superpowers themselves, if any sect was attacked by a 9th-grade battleship from above, the entire sect would definitely be reduced to ruins. Not to mention the casualties, at least all the spirit chi would be scattered, and the sect would no longer be able to stand. To become a superpower, the most basic requirement was to have the power to resist a grade 9 warship. It seemed that Baiming Lifeng had made up his mind. He had to establish the prestige and aura of a future overlord. Looking at the silence and shock in the crowd, a hint of pride flashed in his eyes. With a 9th-grade warship and the general coordinates, Yunxiao said, it won't take too long. But there is only half a month left until the opening of the Eastern region Fairyland. I wonder when we will go out to sea. The opening of the Immortal Land is extremely rare, Dark North Lifeng said. We naturally can't miss it. According to previous information, the opening time of the Immortal Land is generally about 3 months, and the matter of the Donghai Palace is not urgent. We can set it as a month after the Immortal Land closes. Liao Yangbing also nodded slightly and said, that's good. Then we have a lot of time to prepare. I don't want to miss the Eastern Region Fairyland. In addition, young Master Lifeng and I have reached a consensus after discussing. The minimum cultivation level of the participants must be at the 7 constellations realm Martial Emperor realm. Those who are below the 7 constellations realm should not embarrass themselves. The people of the Chamber of Commerce nodded. There were at least 3 to 4 months left, so they could report to their superiors and start preparing. It was also very reasonable for him to set up his cultivation base at the Martial Emperor realm. The discussion was almost over, and everyone began to leave. As for the Purple Cloud Trade Union, no one dared to mention it again. They could only report it to the higher-ups and let them think of a way. As for the grudge between Yunxiao and the guard, it was a mess. The guard's face was cold, and he didn't hide the provocative look in his eyes. It was as if he was saying, hit me, hit me. There seemed to be some anticipation in Bai Minglifeng's eyes as well. He wanted to know how much strength Yunxiao still had after his dantian was damaged, but unfortunately, Yunxiao did not seem to want to fight. I'll beat you up later. Don't worry, I won't forget. After saying that, Yunxiao left with the people of the Purple Cloud Chamber of Commerce. At first, he thought that he wouldn't have anything to do with Bai Minglifeng and that if they really fought, then so be it. But now that the ruins of the palace were extremely attractive to him, it wasn't the time to completely fall out with Bai Ming Dark Palace. Besides, the longer he kept the matter of his dantian a secret, the better. Humph, you're just a coward. This person is no longer a threat to young master. The guard said coldly. Bai Minglifeng watched Yunxiao's back disappear before his eyes, and then he said indifferently, his dantian was destroyed, but he's already very strong. In the beginning, he might have given up on himself, but when he heard that there was a secret treasure of the Eastern Sea's royal family, he might have had a glimmer of hope, so he endured it. The guard couldn't help but laugh. I've never heard of a way to cure a person whose martial arts foundation has been destroyed. His last glimmer of hope will soon turn into despair. Bai Minglifeng also smiled as he nodded lightly, however, his strength is indeed extraordinary. Even if it's difficult for him to improve his cultivation base, he's at least a mid-stage martial supreme. He'll be a great help to us on this voyage. Especially if he has hope in his heart, that's even better. He'll do his best. The guard said with a fawning expression, for the sake of young master's grand plan, I'll settle the score with him after I return from the sea. However, the prerequisite is that he has the life to return from the sea. The 3 men from the Bai Ming family and Liao Yangbing all had a cold smile on their faces, but there was a hint of fierceness in Liao Yangbing's eyes. Young Master Yun, are you really planning to go out to sea with the Bai Ming family and Liao Yangbing? In the Purple Cloud Trade Union, Han Xian said worriedly that Liao Yangbing doesn't seem to be a good person, and young Master Yun doesn't seem to be on good terms with the Bai Ming family. It's too dangerous to go there recklessly. Yunxiao seemed to have been lost in thought, and he said, there is danger, but it won't come from them. I'm free to plan for this matter. Han Xian, you don't have to worry. He glanced at Zhu Anren, who was beside him, and said, Mr. President, do you have any news about Ling?